We're live.
Oh.
Wait, I gotta start with happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Caroline. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Caroline. It's just a great day all around.
It's a fabulous day all around. And also you've got a really great voice.
Oh, why, thank you.
You're welcome.
In my past life, I used to sing regularly, and I don't
I
anymore.
love it.
It's funny because I was just talking to my business coach, and we were discussing whether or not I should start singing at the beginning of all of my lives.
You really should.
To get people's attention.
You really should. Hey, Alexis. It's good to see you here. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you for saying happy birthday. Hey, okay, so you mentioned earlier today in one of our back and forth texts, you said for my birthday, we could combine cake and cocktails.
And cocktails.
Right now, I have...
Is that Guinness?
It's from Crane Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. They made a red velvet cake stout.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's cake and it's cocktail. I love it.
I now have been there often enough just because I just discovered them in the past week that they know my name and I know theirs. So, hey, everybody at Crane Brewing Company.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I decided this red velvet cake and stout, like that's the combination for what we need this evening.
Yes, it's perfect. It's funny because I usually have a stash of bottles of red wine, and I had a rough September, and I went to go look in the cabinet, and I was like,
oh,
where's all the cab in the cabinet? It is gone. That tells me that September had to be really hard. So we went with cake and coffee.
That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I virtually just unwrapped an amazing gift that you gave to me. I will let you tell me what you gave me.
Oh, let me think. What could be amazing? Could it be that our collaboration book has hit the bestseller list in 2 categories in the US and in 2 categories in the UK?
That would be it. International bestsellers.
So exciting. Super exciting.
Amazing.
Yep.
I'm
so happy. I'm so happy for all the other authors. They don't even, I think they might know, but I don't know that they know. I just pulled the numbers about an hour ago.
It's pretty cool.
It is
and here's the beauty of this collaboration. When women come together, and you've surrounded us, right, with great leadership. And there hasn't been, I can think a moment, I sent you a message today. I said, I've been building folders about what you sent, but I can't keep up fast enough. I mean, you have been for weeks now sending us collateral, marketing materials, links. You've put all our pictures on different, hey, Jill, thank you for being here, my love. Thank you. You've, Melissa, been sending all this collateral for weeks now. And I've been building it in folders, but it's coming so fast and furious. I couldn't keep up. And I was like, help me out. I've got it organized, but I think I don't know. I don't want to mess anything up for the day of launch. And amazing. And you've brought together, the women you've brought together have faced and stared down the dragon of racism. They have faced and stared down the dragon of body shaming. They have faced and stared down the dragon of child sexual abuse. And nobody wants to talk about that dragon when, meanwhile, what's going on in folks' home, 1 in 5 girls, 1 in 20 boys stared down that dragon and gone on to develop a fabulous life.
And that's only the ones that actually report it.
Agreed.
Think about how many kids don't report it.
Silence, there ain't nobody raising their hand.
Right.
On that kind of story and that kind of dragon, and the dragon of a sorrow and a sadness so deep that suicide seems like it might be the only good alternative.
Right.
Flaring down I hear her beautiful.
Yeah, she just snuck in. She got away from her dad.
I love it.
So this is what it's like living and working from home.
This is it. This is it. It's a beautiful thing.
So she's joined the party
Perfect.
until her dad realizes she's gone.
It's just, hey, Pam, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your birthday wishes. I appreciate you. So yeah, to be able to slay those dragons and then come out on the other side, the people you've brought together and addiction, right? Someone who
Yep.
spoke about the addiction and the resulting choices that she made as far as being shamed in her sexuality and her choices of that.
Yeah.
That actually, all of them want to make me like a spider monkey come across at people, because the things that people endure in silence and behind closed doors, when you start to crack that pathway, start to crack that light, boy, you find out exactly what's been going on. But then people can also accurately address the feelings in their relationships or the feelings in their life, speak about it, and then find the resources that makes life better in the after. And you, my friend, have pulled that all together in these fabulous women, and you created a book and you helped us put it out in the universe. And now, international bestseller.
It's so crazy.
In 4
That's
different
crazy.
categories.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So
Amazing. And that's you,
exciting.
sister. That's you. So, my birthday gift today to me from you is not only the news you just delivered, but it's just the news and how you are as a human and how you show up in this world. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's the Melissa show. Stop.
It is,
I'm so grateful that we connected. When we met last, gosh, I think it's actually our year anniversary.
It's darn near close.
I
think
think
it's
we
around
did.
about
We
this
met
time.
at the Academy last
It
year.
is. Yep.
So yay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and what a world life-changing connection we have made, and I'm so grateful for it. And you said something very true. When we talk about it and nobody wants to talk about it, it brings the conversation to the forefront, and it brings up so much more than the trauma. It brings up the trauma responses, right?
Yes.
The trauma responses that are coming into our relationships that, even at 46 years old, I still see some that I have to work on due to my past and what happened to me as a child, as a 30-something-year-old woman. And until we see that we can talk about it, until we can recognize, like you do with Safe in Harm's Way, recognize the language around it and can actually place it, we can't face it. And if we can't, then we're going to continue to have unhealthy relationships, not only with everyone else, but with ourselves, because
Yes.
we live with shame. We live with guilt that doesn't belong to us. We live with, thoughts of self-harm and just darkness that we don't deserve.
Right.
So I am so grateful for all of the women that contributed to this book, because everybody just poured out the cringeworthy, dark stories that nobody wanted to really go as deep. A lot of people will talk about it, but they won't talk about the really what would seem embarrassing. And
Yeah.
I think all of us went there in this book, and that it needed to happen. It really needed to happen.
It did. And the beauty of what Dragon Slayers, and let's be specific, we should say the name, right? At least 200 times.
Right.
Dragon Slayers wear lipstick. I got today as many happy birthday wishes as I got Dragon Slayers wear lipstick. Love that name, So that's the beauty of this, is not only are we talking about it, but we're at the end of each of our chapters, we're giving resources.
Yep.
So,
and an open connection.
Yes.
Some of us actually have
you
our
want to
email
contact me
addresses in
directly?
there.
If you want to send me an email, it's all in there. And that, I think, is the beautiful part of this kind of compilation, is each chapter specific and relative to the contents of that chapter. There are resources. And this does two things, right? Because I'm sure you've experienced this, and you have a camp that says, that's not me. I can't even relate to what these people are talking about, because my life is great. Well, if you invest a little bit in understanding someone's story, then you have the empathy available to recognize a broader sense of the world, because you never know. And at Safe in Harm's Way, that's one of our biggest hashtags, because you never know. A coworker who is hiding and covering the emotional and physical abuse or the emotional and physical trauma of what they've endured throughout their life when
Mhm.
they show up to work every day. You never know what family member could have endured something that they don't ever have the ability to speak about. I'm not going to say they don't have courage, because to get up every morning when you've faced circumstances that you don't speak of is an act of courage, and you would never know it. And so it allows people, hopefully, if they have an opportunity to read, and hopefully they choose to. It's 99 cents on Kindle. And the beauty is,
Right.
you don't need a Kindle to read it on Kindle. There's a free app that you can download to read it at any point,
Anytime on your desktop, on your phone.
anytime.
Yep.
So anybody thinks, well, I don't have a Kindle. Should I spend $1? Yes.
Yes.
Spend $1. Purchase Dragon Slayer's Way
And you'll get
lipstick.
some free stuff. You'll get
You'll get some free
a
stuff too.
journal / planner coloring book, because I am addicted to all three
I
of
think that's
those.
a
So I made a hybrid.
I
It's got
love that. I think that's
dragon mandala
beautiful.
coloring pages and motivational planner pages, but none of them are hokey, because I'm kind of, well, I'm just really fucking snarky. So it's a really great fun planner. And then
Exactly.
there's also a book, Anxiety and Depression, seven-way strategies to cope with anxiety and depression. And if you don't need that, you might have a friend you could pass it off to. Um,
Exactly.
and to your point of, your life might be great, and you might not be suffering or have a story. And I have girlfriends that don't have stories, right? And
Right.
they're grateful for it. But at the same time, to read the stories, you can see, what other women, um, how they behave when they've been through it,
Mhm.
and you can pick it out in your friends, like
Yes.
that family member, or that coworker, or that friend that seems to drink too much.
Right.
Maybe that's their way of coping with what's happening at home, and instead of judging, ask some questions,
Yes.
because they need help.
Yep.
So there's just so many. And with all 9 women, we've got everything. We've got 3 countries involved, 4 different races
Mhm.
involved, and it's all a different story. And it's broken down by chapter by what it is. The title says what it is. So you can even skip through and just read the chapters that really, really call and resonate to you. Um, and then by all means, share the book, because we
Yeah.
created this book for it to help heal, to make an impact. So,
And I think when we drive awareness like this and we have these conversations, I just received this week, and I received this kind of text message or inbox message or email or phone call from people that, because I have shared my story of escaping from domestic violence and shared what the feelings look like in a relationship so that you can properly identify, label what's happening, and find the resource to heal, people who would never be aware of domestic violence now have eyes on
mhm,
situations. And so I got a message this week. I've got a coworker. I know what she's living through. I know it. I can feel it in my bones. What resources can you give me? What can you tell me to do? That kind of message makes me all teary eyed, because it means that someone has been present enough to notice another human. And instead of saying, that's not me, I've never experienced it, I don't understand it, they say, how can I help this person? How can I bring this person resources? And I know she might never leave, but I also know that if I give this to her, she might.
mhm,
And that's a thing of beauty in this world. And you know what? My family and I will often say, I sure would trade the pain, but I wouldn't trade the gain. And that's the game, because when you can tell stories, and in that example I just used, it's related to domestic violence, but I have other people who say, based on what they've lived through, I have my eyes on people. If I notice they're disappearing, if I notice they're not coming out as much, if I notice that they seem sad, and I've noticed that they are starting to distance, I'm going to reach out more to that person.
mhm.
Times are weird. People get sad. You never want to lose another soul because they didn't feel as if they had someone reaching out their hand to say, how can I help?
Yeah.
So in hearing these stories and affecting a greater amount of empathy in the world, what we're also doing is allowing people to know that they are not alone in their journey. And that's a huge part. That's a huge, huge part of it, for people to know it's going to be a lifelong thing.
It is.
Healing is a lifelong journey. My very dear friend Kathy will say it's not a one and done. Um, and the beauty of that is you get to do it. There's a beauty and there's a grace in that. And it's not saying it's not hard. It's not saying that there aren't days that knock you to your knees. But when you decide not to be silent any longer, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And when the fact that somebody reached out to you so that they could help a coworker was a huge deal. Because it shows that people are noticing. So I have a crabby.
She needs a crown.
I don't know why. She's got a brother and a father. Look at her angry face. She's so angry. I'm actually.
She's angry, sweet pea.
I am sorry. You know what's funny is that she never ever gets in when I'm doing lives. This is the first time she's ever attacked my
you know what? It's Sunday night, and at your house, it's after, it's almost 8:30. So she's entitled, and let's let her speak her voice as a young woman who wants to speak her voice. We're gonna let her.
Yeah, well, everyone got to see her angry face.
We'll love the anger, right? Yeah. Justified for whatever her motive is. Okay. She doesn't have to explain it.
Well, and I've been busy all day with this pre-order, so she's been kind of coming in, and normally I can take a few minutes and play here and there throughout the workday, but today I couldn't, and I'll pay for it shortly.
It's all good. It's all good.
But and you know what? That brings another point, though. This literally is one of those situations where, what if I'm a single mom and it's the pandemic and I'm working from home and I don't have a teenage son and I don't have a husband in the other room where I can just text help.
Right.
There's no one to help me. And now I'm in this situation, and maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm in a meeting with a boss, and now I'm getting in trouble, and now I have to worry about my livelihood, and I can't get out, and I'm worried about getting sick, and I don't want my child sick because my kid doesn't go to daycare, and all that pressure and all that anxiety and the isolation that happens. It's just, and then you've got old trauma that you're dealing with. It's just so much. And if you are single, I think about my single friends often right now, because even in relationships where we have rough patches, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got someone here with us while we're going through all of this stuff.
Right.
And when you're single, it's fine to be okay alone. I actually loved being single, not for the reason that you'd think, but because I really enjoyed my time with me.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful I'm not right now, because when I have those moments, I'm not alone. I'm not. So I worry about my single friends. I think about them and think, gosh, I hope they know they can just reach out.
Right. Right.
So.
Exactly. I think that's a big part of when we talk about, the book, and we talk about overcoming things and dragon slayers wearing lipstick. I look at my friends and I know what shade they're wearing, and I know why they chose that shade. I know what they've lived through. I'm not going to say for all of them, because some didn't. I may not ever voice that, but I know at the times when I was deepest and darkest, and I can remember a very dear friend of mine we were sitting on a porch, and it would have been the early spring, and I was so sad and I was so raw, and I felt like I must be the only person. And she's someone I knew in my circle, and God, I love her. I just love to hold her hand. I got to see her last night, and she was just beautiful. She's a bridesmaid in a wedding, and she shared her stories with me, and it was like I could exhale. I could exhale. I was at my friend group, and it was that moment when I was so embarrassed about the fact that I had stayed with a man that was so egregious, so horribly egregious. And I had stayed protecting the facade. that was built, but also not really knowing the extent to which I couldn't properly label my feelings. I knew I was sad. I knew I kind of wondered if he was lying. I knew I worried a lot. I knew I was in pain.
Hmm.
I knew there was fear. And she held my hand on a patio and shared her story with me and said, you can rise above this. You can rise above it all. And to give that gift to somebody now, especially if you know your friends are by themselves, or maybe they struggled with something in the past, maybe you don't know, you just know that they're by themselves, reaching out,
Hi,
reaching
Beata.
hello Beata, reaching out to people and saying, how are you, connecting, can we
Hmm.
do a virtual coffee, can we, how about I go on a walk and you go on a walk at the same time and we talk while we walk, you're in California, I'm in Kansas City, let's do that. And
Yeah,
beautiful things like that. So a great call out, especially at this time, to be checking on your people.
you should. And it's funny, there's 9 of us, and I've told everybody not to give up the juice of their chapters. Um, but I have a couple pieces in mind, so I'm going to share one now.
Hmm.
That was really hard for me to start talking about until May, when I talked to one of my coaches. Um, and she said, you need to be honest about this. You need to be honest about this, because people would never have guessed. And it was a year ago, last Sunday. It was right before you met me. Um, I was tired. I was really tired. I had a lot of discontentment in my we just weren't getting along very well under the same roof, my husband and I. And I had lost my business, and I was trying, just like everyone else when we met, we were trying to pivot, and it was really scary. And I had this 2-year old and this 18-year old, and trying to make sure everything was going to work. And I just, one day, a text came in, and we were just kind of going back and forth at each other, and it just hit me the wrong way. And something clicked. And I handed my 2-year old to my 18-year old, and I said, go sit in the very back part of the house. And I went into the bathroom and sat on the side of the tub, and I called the suicide hotline, because I had never gotten to that point. And I will say that for the 2 weeks leading up to, I looked up the number, which is why I had the number so quickly handy. I had looked it up in kind of like a reality check. You do the reality check of, okay, do you really feel this way? You looked up the number, kind of, get yourself out of this. But for somebody who has been positive her whole life and has been a leader for women on confidence and empowerment, in that moment, I felt so broken and so alone and so mentally unfit. And the best thing I could have done was to call that number,
Hmm.
because what she did is tell me, I'm not alone. I'm not broken. It's normal. And she was fielding hundreds of calls like that every single week from women who are having some trouble in their marriage, that are tired and trying to figure everything out, and feel like, this is it. And I can't do this anymore. And it was after then that I realized I needed to start getting more connections with women. I needed to start working more one-on-one with women. And now here we are a year later, and totally, 180.
Right.
So you just have to get through that moment. And if you don't feel like, I wasn't even comfortable calling my best friend in that moment. I didn't want her. I had so much shame that I felt that way. Um, it was easier to call a stranger. It was easier to call a professional that deals with these kind
Yeah.
of conversations. And that is so important, to know that they're there, and they know how to listen, and then they know what to say. And
Yeah.
they can get you off of that high wire that you're on, so that you can get back into your emotions, because it's important to feel the feeling.
Right.
Feel the feeling. You can't get through it if you don't go through it. There's just no way around, and you're just putting it off if you don't feel the feeling. But if you feel the feeling and it's too big, just make a call.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, first of all, for sharing yourself like that in such a real and vulnerable way, because anybody who's going to listen to this on repeat, or anybody who's going to listen to this is listening to it now, you just raised a little bit of a light bulb in the room for folks. And you had to do a lot of hard work, I'm sure, between then and now. And look what
Yeah.
you've created. You know, look at you.
Yeah.
I'm so outrageously proud of you, and love how you show up in the world. Thank you so much for sharing that part of yourself this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I learned partially by watching you.
Oh,
I mean, look where you are and what you're doing. I've read your full chapter, and my God, uh, I just it's we're women, so when we read someone else's story, it's like that's so much worse. That's what we do. That's so much
right.
worse than
That's
what
so
I've
much
ever gone
worse.
through.
Yeah.
So much worse. And I'm like, how did she get through that? And the empathy, and my chest just hurt for
Hmm.
what that must have felt like as I was reading through that, middle part in the end. And now here you are saving lives and helping women.
It's been an amazing journey. And one thing I want to say, in the story that you just told, or in the stories that are told in these other chapters, it's really important for anybody who recognizes themselves in these stories, at whatever part of the journey you're on, that you realize you're worthy of creating a life that's better than your current mind space, right? I
Mm-hmm.
know when I was going through this, um, I was so worried, and I was so scared about myself and my children. And then as I progressed, it became a worry of what does the rest of my life look like now? Am I damaged goods for the rest of my life now? And and sometimes that feeling, even as you start to heal, that feeling of I'm damaged in some place, in some way, that I can't make new friends, or I can't go to new places, or I can't have love again, or I can't whatever, because I'm damaged because this happened to me. There is this part, and I think that's like, for me it was like about slightly less than midway through what I would classify as my healing part of it. And so I want to say, for those people just starting out, or in that halfway weird, or even at the end, you are not damaged goods. You are worthy, and the right people come into your life when you do the hard work, that show up and even maybe share parts of their story with you, because you would never know otherwise. And that's been the beauty of it. I mean, finding love, finding relationships, um, creating new relationships have been absolutely amazing, and so filled with hope and enjoyment and mutual respect and fun, fun, fun,
Fun.
fun, fun, fun. And so I think it's really important for people to hear that don't turn that internally. Don't take what you've survived through and somehow turn it internally against you.
No, it's
Celebrate it.
actually your superpower, right?
It is
It's your
your
superpower.
superpower.
When I look back on, um, I lost my husband before this one. Obviously, I still have, but my husband had passed away, and we were young. We were in our 30s, and I look back on that now, and how I had to get through that, and how I had to do it with my son. And now I think to myself, this is why I have a sword behind me. This is why I have crowns, because I know that I can do it. Do I have pieces of me inside that are still a little shattered? Absolutely. But when I wrote my first book, it was Learn to Love Your Bum, the 6 steps to attacking self-esteem. Um, in there, I talk about kintsugi. It is the Japanese art of filling old pottery with
Yes.
gold,
I remember
and
that part of your
how
book. Yeah, 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 yeah.
when
Explain.
you're a
Yeah.
woman and you have all of these, we're constantly being chipped away at by society, by family, by friends, by the patriarchy, by expectations. And then you have that life-changing event, right? There's usually a few throughout your life, but there's that life-changing event that happens that you're never going to be the same, and you break, and you feel like you can't come back. But it's through that coming back and doing that work, that you're filling yourself with that gold. And when
Mhm.
you are done, it's not even, you are better. You're
Yes.
better than you were before. I'm not saying that we have to go through horrible things to become amazing people, but amazing people don't just happen. And some of the most amazing people I know, it's because of what they've been through and what it turned them into. And it turned them into gold filled, empathetic, beautiful creatures. And
Yeah.
so it's a mindset, and it's not an easy one.
Mhm.
And it definitely is hard to think that way when you're going through the thick of the bullshit. However, when you start to apply that mindset and just realize that you are you're better, you're more beautiful, you're deeper, you're like an ocean, right? There's
Mhm.
just all these levels now that not everybody knows, not everybody gets to know, and that's
That's
okay.
yes. Yes, that's the other beautiful part. People don't get to know everything about you. I mean, that comes through time. You don't
Hmm.
have to start friendships or relationships or new work engagements with the vomit of here is everything about me. No, that's a beautiful gift that you give to folks. It just doesn't come out of your mouth willy-nilly. There's some
No.
people that should never get to know what the depths of you are.
What makes you
Um,
special?
mhm. It is. It's a
Yeah.
superpower, and that's the one of the other reasons why I love the book is, oftentimes I'll get and it's never done meanly, a question about my wearing lipstick and heels. I love lipstick, I love heels. Um, part of that, a big part of that was to honor the times in my life when I would wake up and think, I don't know when I last brushed my teeth during the initial parts of healing and escape. I mean, I when I escaped, he refused to leave the big house, right? So even though he had done all these egregious things, he refused to leave the big house and left me homeless. So me living in my car, me living in friends' couches. Um, there were days I couldn't remember when I brushed my teeth. And so, when I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth and I do my rituals and I put on my favorite color of lipstick, of which I have about 22 shades and this beautiful little thing. I have a friend, I love the Dave Matthews Band, and I have a friend uh, who sent me all these stickers, and it's just this wonderful glass covered in stickers, and all my shades of lipstick are in there. So Jamie Henry, thank you. And the I pick out my favorite shade for the day. And I don't care if I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, I most often have on 3-inch heels.
Yep.
I I I envision any dragon I slay of having to face me in heels, and the yoga moves I do that can allow me to balance on one foot and kick really hard with the other, and
Right.
my favorite shade of lipstick. So, those armor that we put on every day can look differently for the dragons we slay, but we still do it. We still do it every day. And there's a beauty in allowing others to know that that part of the journey, it might happen several times in your life. Doesn't make you immune to any additional tragedy. So, having that ability to get out and speak and use the armor that you put on yourself every day is also a part of this book that I think when we're collecting other dragon slayers for our queendom
That's
that
right.
we need to remind each other of.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so, when I think about any cross section of women, no matter where we are, what country, you know, what race, it doesn't matter. There are so, and even the women that have told, even the friends that have told me, I just don't feel like I've had anything big in my life. It's because they're not honoring that they went through their own pain. I had one of my friends say, I just never have had anything traumatic happen. But I also know that her husband left her and her two children. And that's pretty traumatic. But because she's listening to other women's stories, she's, well, it wasn't as bad as what she did. So I was really okay. But no, in that moment, you can't judge another person's tragedy.
Mm-mm.
You can't judge that pain because we're all individual, and each pain is the same yet different, right?
Yes.
But it's all suffering, and it all hurts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now she places so much more value on having the right partner, you know,
Right.
and you being homeless. Now, when you wake up and you have a roof over your head, your gratitude is naturally bigger than somebody who's never not had a roof over their head,
Right.
because there's that saying, I don't give because I have too much. I give because I know what it's like to not have.
Yes.
And that's, I
Yes.
think that describes dragon slayers,
It
as dragon
does.
slayers.
It does. It does. I want to take a second. I want to welcome Beyond Power and Control, led by the fabulous Sybil coming to. Looks like she's joined us. So thank you for logging on today. You know, it's funny that you say that. I will, if people if they're standing on the side of the road, if I don't swing around and go get them McDonald's or whatever fast food from the closest place to bring food, then I will. I don't care what brought them to that point, and I honestly don't care what they might do with the money or the food. I know what it's like not to know where I was going to eat next.
Yep.
I know what it's like to worry that I'm out here in the elements and who could come to try to find me and harm me. And a funny part of this is in that mode, I once left a little note and a $20 bill on a car that was packed to the gills, right? Because I thought surely somebody's living in that car. Because that's what my car looked like. I had my daughter and her boyfriend packed the car or got me a plastic 3-tiered set so I could put clothes in the car, and I had food and I had a cooler and I had pillows and a blanket and I had everything you would need to live in
Wow.
a place in my car. And so I saw this other car packed to the gills and I left a little note and I said, whatever you're going through, man, I'll send you love. And here's $20. My son came in and he's like, hey, that's my college roommate's car. He's just moving out of the dorm.
Well, you bought their lunch.
He's like, Mom, you got to stop leaving $20 bills on the windshield with little notes. I was like,
That's
no, I
awesome.
don't, because I don't know that.
You
I
don't
didn't
know.
realize it was so and so's car.
Sybil, I think you said, what's her name? Sybil?
Sybil. So yeah,
She
Sybil's.
said that there's not a real hierarchy of trauma. It's all relative. And that
Yeah.
is exactly it. That's exactly it. And as a woman, don't look at another woman and, it's like, I had a miscarriage, but you lost your 5-year-old. It's not really that bad. I'm okay. Stop.
Right. Right.
It all hurts, and
It
it's
all
all
hurts.
relative, and
Yeah.
it all requires healing and some patience and kindness with yourself. I think a lot of times we have this like set time of how long it's supposed to take us to get over something,
Right.
right? And we can't do that to ourselves. You take the time that you need. Be kind, be patient, be gentle with yourself, watch how you
Mhm.
speak to yourself. And I say this knowing that there are days I'm like, why can't I get my fat ass in these pants? But understand you'll have those moments too, and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's okay.
I'll tell you why I can't get my fat ass in these pants. Hold on, I'll show you why I can't.
Well, first of all, your ass is beautiful. So those are worth it. Those are so worth it.
So worth it.
So worth it. But isn't that true? Like we can survive things and still kick our own feet out from under ourselves. At the same time, we turn and we'll help another person up.
Mm-hmm.
So, replacing that voice in your head or that is vital. And that's where listening to other people's stories, listening to what other folks have survived, and knowing that you are made of that same steel and that same dragon slaying ability, that you can pick yourself up and go. It is not without hard work, but the beauty of that work that can be done is there are lots of people in this world who are willing to help. I think of Sybil at Beyond Power and Control, who's just establishing, an ability for folks, particularly who've survived, domestic violence, to navigate that. And there are lots of other people, and there's, we'll put in the comments here, but there's one website you can go that has every single hotline in the entire world or entire US in one space to find. There's another
Wow.
website that has harnessed the entire, and I'll send it to put in the comments. And has harnessed the power of the entire world. Like, this is what we've found across the world of everybody doing the hard work to help people. And here's how you contact them.
Yeah.
There are many
That's
people willing
that's
to
amazing.
take your hand and change the world. So reach out,
And
be
you
vulnerable.
just don't know them yet. That's one of the beautiful things about women is I found, again, at 46, you'd think you're making friends is over, right? But some of the best friends I've made since the pandemic. Some of
Yeah.
the closest relationships I have are since the pandemic. And it's because we've been forced to really get to know each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I said in the beginning of the book is that women need women. We need each
Mhm.
other. It's why little girls need moms. It's women need women, and we need to nurture each other. And it could be that the woman that you need, you haven't met yet, but she's there and she's waiting for you to start talking a little bit about what it is that you need so she can hear you and reach out to you.
Yeah, exactly. Or in this case, with what you've built, Melissa, is created this book that has all the resources in the back to reach out directly to the folks who've navigated this particular lane that you might be navigating in. And heck, you could be a person who's navigating bits and pieces of every one of the 9 chapters. That's okay
Right.
too. If you got to contact 9 people to get the resources you need,
Do it.
um, do it. You have all our contact information in the back of each chapter. And that's the beautiful part, because you can read something and you think, yeah, great, but what do I do next? Hey, B, thank you. Happy birthday to Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you, B. B and I have known each other for, gosh, 40 plus years. So thank you for hopping on here, B. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's what you have to be able to have the next action item. And for me, I think it's beautiful. I mean, the resources I think I wouldn't be far off in saying that they are limitless. But the beauty of what we've put in the book is 5 to 6, because I know at the point when I was escaping my abuser, if anybody had given me a list of 25 resources, I wouldn't have done one.
Right, because you don't know which one to call.
Zero idea. Zero idea. I mean, I was writing my name on a Post-it note because I couldn't remember who I was. Like, I went to fill out forms at a doctor's office and she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Let me get my license." I mean, that's how bad my brain was at the time. And so to give 5 or 6 resources for people to be able to do one thing, pick out one thing on this list
Mm-hmm.
and do that. And then maybe next week, pick out another one thing on the list and do that. When you can give next steps and action items, then people can take control moment by moment and then find the help that they need, because they've now found the vocabulary to label what is happening to them. And now they have the next resources to act on in order to start that process for healing. And it may be that someone finds a resource and it's not for them. You keep trying, you keep going, and find the next best resource that you can.
Yep.
It's all
And
in the book.
it's all in the book. It's all in the book. That is 99 cents right now. And if you don't want to have to search for it on Amazon, you can just go to dragonslayerswearlipstick.com. And there is the UK flag, the US flag, and the Canadian flag. And just click on the country that you live in, and you'll be able to purchase it directly from that link. If you are in another country, it's available there too. Australia, Spain. You will have to search for it though.
Yeah.
And then once you purchase it, take your Amazon order number and go back to that page and click on the claim my bonuses so you can get your bonuses. Because we have, if you're in the US and Canada, we have, let me see if I can reach it, because,
Well, I love that you put together. I mean, I don't know how many times I doodle in my journal. So the fact that you've made a journal with motivational, copy in it, and also the ability to color in your
Oh yeah.
journal.
I
Love
need it
that.
all. I need it all. And if
Love
you're in the
that.
US and Canada, you get my logo with feminism is my second favorite F word.
That's a good one.
So, yeah. All right. Well, Caroline, I have a 3-year-old that the patience is
She
slim
needs
to
a
none.
mama.
Yep.
She needs her
But
mama.
I am so glad we got to get on, and I got to spend so much time with you on your birthday, and I am glad that I could give you this present today. I'm so
Thank you for
excited.
letting me unwrap the international bestseller present.
That's
Thank you
so
for
awesome.
giving 50% of the proceeds of all book sales to Safe and Harm's Way. We will turn directly around and put that toward all our operating expenses, which consists of bringing the content to the people who need it most. And so that's directly where it will be going. I don't take a salary from Safe and Harm's Way. We have volunteers. We are not a brick and mortar, so we don't have any overhead. So every penny that's donated goes directly to bringing the resources and the content to the people that need it most.
And I saw you're working on operating expenses for 2022. So
Yeah.
do something good for yourself or for someone else. There will be
Tonight
a
is
print.
my
There'll
tonight
be a
is
print book
my
available as well, so you can use it
yeah,
as a
yeah.
gift.
So we'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
And
Thank you for everything and that generous offer. And thank you for how you show up in the world, Melissa. I'm truly honored to get to stand by you and hold your hand and help change the world. So
oh
thank
my
you.
gosh, same to you. I just love you so much.
I love you too, my dear.
Have a wonderful night, all. Thank you for spending time
Thank you
with
for
us
joining
tonight.
us.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.